back, people, and today we're going to film on Isaiah Johnson, Miami Dolphins corner. He's a second-year UDFA. After having a really strong preseason last year, he ended up sticking on the practice squad. I think he would have made the team if it wasn't for, guys like Storm Duck, really standing out. But this guy has, really good upside, really good size and length, listed at around 6'3", 205, with really good arm length, physicality, gets involved in run support. I think he's a guy that can also be a special teams guy. Also tested had a really good three cone, which shows off some change of direction skills for a guy of his size, which I think is really important. I think gives him a chance to end up standing out. I think another area where he could actually make this team compared to last year is one. I mean, the position group just isn't as strong, which obviously gives him a better chance. But it seems like the Dolphins are going in a more press man heavy approach, and Isaiah Johnson's very comfortable in that area, and obviously he has the size and length for it if they want to do more of that press man stuff that they been thinking about. But there's a lot of examples on the film here of him being physical, using his size, using his length, disrupting route timing, and doing it from multiple different spots too. There's a lot to like with his game. Here at the top of the screen, you can see him basically matched up. They're running cover 3, but he's basically one-on-one with that receiver on the outside. You can see smoothing his pedal, and look at the efficient break out of the pedal there. That's really, really solid for a guy of his size. I think a lot of guys are typically pretty stiff, and I do think his hips aren't the most fluid, but he does show some pretty good explosiveness with his feet there. Stick that foot in the ground, get out of it, and close. And even if he's a little bit late to things, he has that arm length to make up for it, to make a play at the catch point. This ball's just slightly thrown out. But out of his pedal there, not even a slower pedal, a pretty normal pedal to get in and out of your break that quickly is pretty nice. You can see it from this other angle. Good job. Boom. Explode out. Match it. I think, the reactive athleticism is there for Johnson. I wouldn't say, he's going to be known for being a super high instinct guy, but he's got decent reactive athleticism. I think he does a good job feeling breaks too when he's on a vertical plane playing in press. Whether he has hands on you or not, I think he does a good job feeling that hip sync. So I think he does a good job as a vertical plane corner. So I think seeing him as more of a cover 3 corner, a press man corner, which I think that's where the Dolphins are going to be running a lot of stuff. And he can do the cover 2 stuff as well, where he can press and jam at the line and then cover in his flat. I think those are kind of his strengths as a corner. So, and those will be, I think, what the Dolphins run most next season. So I think that kind of helps him fit into the scheme with what Miami is trying to do. So that's pretty good work. He can, carry people vertically. I think he's got enough speed to carry people vertically. He's not got elite speed or anything, but I think he's got a long stride, and size and length always really helps on vertical routes as well. I think he can carry vertically. So he's going to be the one that's sort of out of the younger guys. He'll be on that lower end of the totem pole. He'll be fighting, the UDFAs this season, like BJ Adams. He'll fight some of the veterans that they brought in that are sort of roster bubble guys, like Artie Burns and stuff, for a roster spot. But I think he'll be after I wouldn't be surprised if he's after that Storm Duck, Ethan Bonner type of guys as UDFAs. And I wouldn't be surprised if he even takes if he takes another step, because he has all the physical tools, has some nice athletic tools to work with. He takes another step and ends up even surpassing them, because no one really on this roster, other than maybe Kohu, is really guaranteed anything. Also a good run support guy, I think, which also gives him a chance to make the team, is I think he can be a special teams player. I think he's got the physicality, the enough speed to go down there, make tackles, whether as a gunner. He can be a guy that blocks his, on the outside on gunners too. And he's just got that trigger to get involved as a run support guy. Good job getting downhill there, making some plays. Here's another example. He does a good job initially, playing it would be a press man rep. Pretty good patience. Once he realizes he's getting blocked, stack, shed, get out there, get his body involved again versus the run. It's tough for receivers to block him with his size and length. He does a really good job of utilizing it, which I think is a big thing. I think a lot of guys, sometimes his size, they have great size and length, but they don't always utilize it, which is is one thing where it's wow, they're really big developmental players. You got to teach them how to use their size and length. I think Johnson is someone that at least understands how to use it. I think, technique could be a little bit better at times, but it's there. Here's another example of him playing over the top. I think he does a very good job in these situations where he can be, good job being patient. Really good patience at the line, stays square, waits for the receiver to commit. Receivers commit, boom, open up the hips, now get hands on to feel that the break there and stay over the top. Don't allow him to get over the top on you, and that's very very impressive. I think for Isaiah Johnson in those situations, pretty much does that on a consistent basis in his press man reps. Here's another one on a vertical plane. I think he can get a little handsy. That is a problem some of these guys will have. Um, I mean, it's like right here, the guy tries to throw him by. I think this is where you can see his play strength. Guy really tries to throw by, and Johnson gets a little grabby, did not get thrown by. But corners are taught when the receivers push, that's when you pull. And he wasn't getting called for it in preseason. So even though there are reps of him like doing a little bit of holding, he wasn't getting called for it. So it wasn't like super major. So I think this it's something that he can be working on. But this is still a pretty good rep, not allowing separation, shows off his play strength. Can't really get bullied by bigger receivers. Here's another example of it on the boundary. Tries to throw by. He plays it better this time. This one comes a little bit later. He plays it better. Doesn't get as grabby holding this time and is able to stay into the chest of the receiver the whole time. He does a great job feeling those routes. Another example here. Good job getting hands-on at the line, being more jam. He can play it patient. He doesn't have to jam to play a good press rep, but he can jam. He knows how to utilize that length. Widen this guy to the sideline, use the sideline to your advantage, and now the receiver only gets 1 foot in bounds. Here he is chasing across the field. You can see the advantage of the length to go make a play on this ball. I think, if he has shorter arms, this could be a potential touchdown. And it's a tough ass to cover a guy across the field down in the red zone like this, work through trash too on, the mesh point and make a play right there. Very impressed with Johnson in that situation. Just a lot to like, I think, from a press man perspective. Good feel and anticipation on this route break. Guy breaks the outside. He's done a really good job, like feeling, the guys sink their hips. He gets hands on and then feels the hip sink and matches it. Really good mirror match ability. I think he has a really good feel for the route breaks when he has hands on. That's a good rep there from Isaiah Johnson. And more just getting involved in run support. I think that's a bonus. I think the run support and the special team stuff, like if he stays close, as with like guys like Duck and Bonner as as like a cover guy, if he can stay close to them, I think run support and special teams could give him a boost. I think Bonner can do some of the special. I think Bonner will be a special teams guy if he makes the team, which I think he will. I think he'll get involved. Uh, but I think the run support can give Johnson the advantage over all of them. Here's like the cover two stuff, like where like you're basically jamming at the line near the flat. You jam. You don't allow the outside release. This is huge, by the way. Don't allow the outside releases, which you don't want. This guy's playing deep half, so you want to give an inside release, make this life easier on the safety if he has to get out to the receiver. Don't allow that. Hard jam, disrupt the route timing, and then he's in position to take away a quick throw here, but then also close down on the running back if that's where the ball would go, but then they get the sack in the backfield. So really good work there. Love seeing some jam ability. Close, take on a receiver, get off the block, help make the tackle at the line on a screen. Another example of him, one-on-one boundary, press man rep, get hands on, shoot that inside hand to that inside shoulder, field a route break without getting too handsy. Very, very quality rep there from Johnson, just on the boundary, very comfortable in those press man reps. And I think that's why I think a lot of these corners that were here last year that are in, even all the ones they've added that we talked about, they're all better press man guys. And I think guys like Isaiah Johnson, Storm Duck, I think they're at their most comfortable in press man too. Even Bonner, I think, is comfortable in press man. I think Bonner's got a little more versatility in terms of I think he's pretty comfortable equally and stuff. But I think Johnson and Duck clearly have a comfortability in press man, which I think could potentially elevate them going into the regular season. More run support stuff. This is the one touchdown he gave up in the preseason. It is a tough play. He just barely doesn't even play it that poorly. It is tough in they got a stack here, a 3-man stack, and he's the inside guy and he has to work around. He has to go underneath this and then go play the fade. It is a tough ask. He just barely misses the ball too, so just slightly being late to it, just not able to make the play at the catch point. It is a tough play for sure. But honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if this was the difference of Storm Duck being the one that makes the team over Isaiah Johnson last year in the preseason, because they were both really, really solid. And this was just the one time Johnson really gave up a play. But for the most part, corners are getting beat here in this situation anyways. And I think, he's close, can potentially make that play in the future. But yeah, I'm a fan. I think he's got good upside. Join up as a member, if you want early access to videos, other fun perks, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe.